Hello internet, how are you? Can I just say, you look excellent today. You look stunning. Did you do something with your hair? No? You really should. Okay, well, that got awkward. But we're not here to discuss your hair, internet. It's not all about you. A few weeks ago I was largely in the American South, and if DC is where America keeps its knowledge, and the Northeast is where America keeps its history and its Irish famine memorials, the South is where America keeps its homeless heckling population. This may come as a complete shock to you, I'm sure, but recently I heard, "You're too young to be here," on a remarkably open and un-age-restricted street. I don't know where the guy was getting his ideas from, really. I think I look extremely old. Perhaps more hilariously, we also got, "Holy God, I see 6 bazookas, and they're kinda cute." I should clarify that there were 3 of us with the usual number of breasts each. Susie Ray and I aren't malformed, I promise. But for all that mention of the South might raise jokes about religious fundamentalism and fried chicken, it also raises issues of class, colour and politics that I, as a fairly privileged white girl, am probably only going to sound preachy talking about. On the 28th of August 2005, a well-predicted and expected storm hit the geographically unstable and incredibly vulnerable New Orleans. New Orleans has long been, quite rightly, wary of storms, hurricanes and swamp monsters rising from the deep. But despite lessons learnt from earlier storms such as Hurricane Betsy, they were in no way prepared for Hurricane Katrina. The way that Americans reacted to the slight breeze that was Hurricane Irene last summer may have led you to believe that although for all their lack of defences, when the time comes, they're all over that shit. Let me be very clear, they are not. They may spend a lot of time discussing the exact colour and consistency of said shit and whose turn it may be to clean it up, but they are not in any way all over it. Okay, at this point I realise that I may be making it sound like if the same thing happened in Britain, we'd know exactly what to do and how to do it, and we'd be all over it. We wouldn't. I appreciate that. Have you seen the reaction to London's annual inch of snow? Hysteria, panic, news reports covering the consequences for days. But our inability to deal with weather and deep-seated need to discuss it for a long time stems really from a place of boredom rather than an actual threat from any weather. Weather in this country actually kills people, and I feel that maybe then you have to be a little bit better at responding to it. But in New Orleans, this lack of preparation and inability to deal with the consequences means that 7 years later it's still possible to drive through the city and see the X's that were left from first responders marking how many alive and dead they found in each house on the first visit. New Orleans was largely left to rebuild itself. So, here we finally have arrived at my point. A few weeks ago I was in New Orleans working for a project called the St. Bernard Project, which aims to rebuild houses that were destroyed by Katrina, often for families that may have been screwed over by contractors since then, leaving them in an even worse position than before. Anyone can work for the project, whether or not you've been building palaces and castles in your spare time for years, or if you're someone who's likely to injure a person just being in the same room as a power drill. And you can work there for as long as you've got time to give. Over the last 6 or 7 years, the St. Bernard Project has managed to put 425 families back into their homes. I worked for the project for 3 days, and it made a nice change from the fairly lazy approach to travelling that we'd been taking up until then. Susie Ray may tell you that I enjoyed it because it finally gave me the validation from high schoolers that I've been craving for the last 5 years.
Say hi, Taylor.
Before, yeah.
The one. Hi. Hello.
I will dispute that. Mostly for all that it was only 3 days and it didn't change the world. It was nice to be a small part of the rebuilding effort that is New Orleans 7 years later.